Hello, everyone. So, welcome to another live session at Fabric Cafe. The meantime, let's see who do we have, and let me make sure everything is all right. Let's give some time for others to join as well. Yeah, we have appropriate links on Meetup group, which is good. Happy to have that one. Cool. So, yeah, let's have a look at the chats and see who do we have. And please just confirm if all is good with my voice, and because previously and the resolution also. Previously, you know, in the other sessions we had some issues with the voice and the resolution. Just if you know someone can confirm it. Awesome. Yeah, hello from Vancouver. Nice, thank you. Nabil. Yeah, from Ohio. Nice. Hey, Isaac. Welcome. Oh, thank you very much. Yeah, today I took the exam actually. No, I actually planned for the exam to be taken exactly after, you know, our fourth session was done actually. And yeah, today was successful. Thank you very much. Awesome. Thank you for confirming, Shannon. Awesome. And we have someone from Paris. Oh, nice. What time is it? Cool. Nabil, yes, perfect. Awesome. Thank you very much, everyone, for confirming. How long did you prepare for? You know, for Fabric, let me just tell you something like this. For Fabric, which is a diverse, you know, has diverse areas and workloads, and needs your, you know, attention to each of those guys in different, you know, personas. So it really takes time, a while, that you get along with all of them. You know, if you want to be perfect in all, or at least you know, advanced or in intermediate level for all of those areas. I would say maybe 2-3 months if you know have a you know, consistent learning plan. But to be honest, some part of that goes back to your experience from your background. For example, for myself, I believe that my knowledge in SQL is good, right? And where this, you know, the sections that we are talking about, the SQL querying, you know, I was just answering them right away. But for other sections, for example, for the Power Query, you know, I don't use the Power Query that much. I use that a little bit, but not that much that I know all of the functions, blah, blah, blah. So it took no time for me to get along with that. However, we had the, you know, actually, we, as you know or might not know, you have access to Microsoft Learn documentation and the website during your exam. And you can just quickly search, but you need to manage your time, which is the more important part of your exam. And maybe some updates from DP-600 exam. Not the updates, actually, my experience. I didn't see any question from KQL. If anyone has seen in the recent exams if you have attended. Please let me know, because it was there in the skills measure and in the study guide, but it was not available in the exam itself. Yeah, but really depending on your experience, how how fast you can just level up your other skills. You need the skills from your DAX querying, you need the skills from Power Query. You need to know the whole fabric as overall, and your experience from data warehousing, your experience from mostly in SQL part, and your experience from how you do the data cleansing and these kind of stuffs. Yeah. Hey, from Dallas, Texas, Isaac, nice. Thank you very much. Shannon, hi, Ashkan. Yeah, thank you for, yeah. Isaac, I know that the KQL originally is part of the DP-700, but if you check the skills measured in DP-600, that was applicable, actually, that was effective from end of October, if I'm not mistaken. KQL querying is part of that, right? And even how an event stream can be integrated with OneLake. So these were, the things that was part of the study guide. Cool. So I think we can kick it off. Let me share my screen and let's have it. But if you just write for the exam and you've passed it, or you want to share your experience, please express yourself here, or maybe we can chat offline. But yeah, I'm actually happy to hear your experience. Cool. Let me share my screen and start the session. Share the screen. Cool. Yeah. DP-700. Yeah, as most of you know, our DP-600 bootcamp was completed. And there are, of course, lots of areas that needs to be studied by yourself. On the DP-600. In a bootcamp, you cannot cover every single detail. But the thing that I tried to manage in our live session was the hands-on experience, right? Just let's do it. It is not only the theory. When you do it, it is going to just when you practice something, it is going to just stay in your brain, and you can basically just remind that quickly, and at least one time read or skim the documents of Microsoft Learn, and during the session you can just quickly find it, and how to navigate in Microsoft Learn documentation. So it is very important that you make yourself familiar with that one. Anyway, so DP-700 session 1. Today is 10th of December 2025. My name is Mehrdad, for those guys who are new here, the Microsoft Learn expert and the community lead of Fabric Café. I live in Vancouver, Canada, and always a learner. At Fabric Café, which is basically a its main home is Microsoft Learn community, tech community, and we have weekly and bi-weekly Fabric coffee sessions, inviting the speakers. We have we have done actually I think 49 or 50 sessions so far. That is fantastic to hear from the experts always. With almost 6,000 members around the globe, and we focus on Fabric and Power BI. provide learning and support to Fabric users in all levels. There are, the links to our YouTube channel. Feel free to subscribe on that. Feel free to rewatch it and share with your network. Maybe someone can make benefit of that. On our LinkedIn page, we do our announcements there, and you can just join the community group in Microsoft and in the community of Microsoft Fabric to start the discussions, ask your peers, ask the experts to help you, or sharing your experience. If you learn something, you think it is useful for the community, you can share it. And in the meetup group, where we announce our sessions, the events that we have, and for sure we would like to hear back from you by rating the session and providing your honest feedback. There's a code of conduct when you join the online sessions. Thank you very much for adhering to all of these stuffs. And the session number 1 of this guy, but answering one question from Ashkan that says, did you use Microsoft Learn during your exam? To be honest, I try to manage my time, and maybe in the last 3 minutes, let me just put it in this way. You can always, mark the questions for that section specifically, just to review. Review your answer after, at the end of your session before you submit your answers. You can mark them, and it is my suggestion as well that just answer something. At least you can do that. You can guess something, right? You can just leave them for end of your session, and if you get more time, if you have some left time, you can just go through them. And for those guys that maybe you think you can find the exact documentation, and then you can just find the answer from your from the Microsoft Learn documentation. I you actually used that in last 3 minutes. I couldn't manage my time. It says everyone else frozen. Let me check my sorry, I don't want to be like let's check. Okay, maybe it was your issue. Okay, no problem. Great job. Okay, cool. Okay, awesome. Let's move to the next slide. Today is basically we're going to talk about this new, this exam at DP-700 and compare it with the other certifications that are available. A brief introduction of a Fabric, understanding and managing a Fabric environment. We are just going to look at what's happening with the ingestion and storing the data options, but we will have a more detailed session in our next session and the other one for ingesting, storing data, and integrating data sources in Fabric. But today is going to be more overview of them. There are 3 or 4 3 available certifications. PL300, DP600 that we discussed. The PL300 is for the Power BI data analyst, and this one DP700 data engineer, that basically replaced the Azure data engineer certification that was retired last year, DP203. And I don't want to talk about that much about the document certification itself, but it has 3 main sections that today we are going to focus on the first section for implementing and managing the analytics solution. However, like before, like our previous bootcamp, I just look at exact things that are in the guide, study guide page, right? And the highlighted ones are going to be discussed today. We are going to configure Spark workspace settings for the different sections that are applicable for a data engineer. Control version, configure version control for the Git integrations, how we create a deployment pipelines and how to use them. Some security stuffs about the workspace level access control and item level access control. The sensitive labels, we will talk about that, endorsements, and how to configure the logs of the workspace, and about the orchestration options. Choose between a pipeline and a notebook, and how we can design and implement scheduled and event-based triggers. The other sections, we just shuffle between them. We are not going to be really picky on the and stick to the exact things. We may shuffle between the workloads and talk about them. Okay, for those guys who are new here, sorry if it is going to be a bit boring for those guys who attended the previous sessions, or you've seen this slides before. But a quick introduction: Microsoft Fabric is actually the unified data platform for the era of AI. It is a centralized and unified SaaS software as a service in Microsoft that is providing us with the workloads, with the opportunities to have an end-to-end analytic solutions. Even for the transactional things, it has some solutions for us. It is providing us with different experiences, like the data factory. The data factory is basically used for bringing the data, using the Power Query, and orchestrate the data flow process. It is providing us with the data engineering, which is coming from Azure Synapse basically, and it is actually you can do the data engineering with a Spark platform for data transformation at the scale. It is providing us with a data warehouse, a optimized SQL database for doing the analytical things, and and for your structured data basically. For the data science and for the machine learning, there are possibilities to utilize the Lakehouse and the notebooks and Spark engines to do the machine learning experiments, and the data scientists analytics. It is providing us with the real-time intelligence for the streaming data that is coming to Fabric from real-time sources like IoT devices or Kafka or IoT Hub, and eventually the business intelligence part of that, which is the Power BI for translating the data to decisions. It is the whole part of that. However, on the side of that, we have the databases in Fabric, and recently in the Microsoft Ignite, we had the other workloads like IQ and the other stuffs that are not part of our discussion now. All of these basically experiences that we have are in touch with OneLake. OneLake basically is the storage in Microsoft Fabric. That you can just think of it like a OneDrive in your organization, or for your personal account, or the family account that you're gonna have for your OneDrive. There is a storage that is shared with all the organization. It is providing us with unified services, compute and storage, and everything for one tenant can be actually applied. It can be implemented and designed in Microsoft Fabric. And one of the characteristics of OneLake is and one of the maybe good things about the OneLake is one copy of the data, and we don't have to just have the repeated things and duplicated data for the whole organization and the whole tenant. Automatically the data that we have in different workloads in Fabric are going to be stored in OneLake. And OneLake is basically built on top of the Azure Data Lake Storage Gen 2, which supporting any kind of the data, right? Any kind of data can be stored in OneLake. But however, if you work with the the workloads that you have, the engines are going to basically store the data in the Delta formats, Delta Parquet formats, and which is basically compatible with existing ADLS Gen 2 applications, including Azure Databricks, and they can just make use of all of these basically files that are in the OneLake. And the data in OneLake are basically the folders and files that are addressable, and they can be explored. And basically, when in the storage accounts that we will just connect it to our Fabric capacity and Fabric portal, is every workspace is going to be a folder, right? It is going to be a hierarchy of the folders that we will have, the containers, basically, in Azure language. Yeah. And so in Fabric, you can basically, literally bring the data from anywhere. You may have some data in your Azure resources, like Azure SQL database, Azure Cosmos DB, or you have some data in Oracle, you have some data in PostgreSQL, whatever you have. You may have some semi-structured data in your Amazon S3. You have them in your Google Cloud, or even in the ADLS Gen 2, or even in your local machine, which is going to be on your on-prem. Basically, the data can be ingested from any of these kind of sources. However, we have different techniques of each of these guys to push the data in. Some of them are going to be mirrored into Fabric. Some of them are going to be short. We will have shortcuts to those basically data sources, to not moving the actual data, but we only just make a shortcut and bring the metadata of those files into Fabric. And the data eventually is going to be landed in our OneLake, and there will be the engines that we have that are going to work with those files, or Parquet, Delta Parquet files, or Delta tables, basically that are sitting in OneLake, and all of those personas that and all of those engines that we talked about are going to work with them, like data warehousing, like data engineering, and data factory. In order to to be able to understand the let's say, in order to to be able to manage the Fabric workspace as a data engineer, it is maybe required to know the whole concept of Fabric and the terms there. Each let's say each organization has one tenant, right? It is the tenants. It may have more tenants, but it is going to, at least one tenant is going to be required for a for an organization. It is really rare, or maybe for the very big organizations that may have more than one tenants. However, let's say an organization have one tenant that can be purchased or actually configured in the Azure portal by the the admin of the systems. And then underneath of that, we have the capacities. The capacities of Fabric are basically the licenses that are listed for for the organizations, and you can either use the trial version of that, or purchase one of those capacities that are like Pro, Premium Pro, or Fabric capacity, and so on and so forth. So, however, we have actually I have the trial of that, and the trial, Fabric is basically providing you with a trial version of a F64 SKU. The next term is domain. Basically, for that capacity, let me just complete this. For the capacity, the workspaces are going to be linked to a capacity. So for maybe, for example, we are doing a POC during a research. We can just utilize, we are going to create a workspace and just assign it to a capacity of trial, or, when that POC becomes more practical and we want to go for the production, then we change its, we basically reassign the capacity to something relevant. And these are going to be done by the admin of the system for sure. And we also have the domains in Fabric. That domains are basically some sort of categorization of the organization departments and sections. Let's say, a good example could be in an organization, you have your products, for example, or manufacturer. You have the marketing, you have sales, and you have the support, and you have HR. These are going to be your domains. That the main purpose of having the domains is how better it can be managed, and the whole, actually, the big admin of the system, the admin of the tenant, can just create these domains in Fabric environment, and then just assign those domains to the domain admins, and they can just manage their domains and workspaces on their domains and subdomains easily, and they are not going to involve the the big admin in their departmental developments and initiatives. So on the other side, we just found that capacities are going to be assigned to the workspaces. So a workspace can be assigned to any capacity, and on the other side, a workspace can be assigned to a domain, right? So we can have a many-to-many maybe relationship between capacity and domain in Fabric. And we talked about the workspace. Workspace is basically a container of the items that we will have, and it is going to be used for, again, grouping the items that we are working with, and it is going to be used mostly for, just having an isolated environment for your work and for the security stuffs. And the items are actual items that we are going to utilize there. For example, a data warehouse, a Lakehouse, or something like that. About the let me just jump into before talking about the workspace. Let me jump into my portal and show you some stuffs related to the capacity and the domains. Okay. Let me, So in the Fabric portal, there is a setting. Let me just give you an introduction quick. Sorry for those guys who know that, but you can just switch between the Fabric environment and Power BI environment here. You can just find the workloads that's available in your Fabric. The standard workloads that we have here, data engineering, data factory, IQ, and whatever that we discussed. And we also have the graph here. Industry solutions, that is going to give us some out of the box, industry data solutions. That's it. So, it is, there are some shortcuts to the home, to the list of workspaces that we will have. The co-pilot, if it is going to be available, but however, for the basically trial version, co-pilot is not available, and it is going to just look for the workspaces that are not in the trial capacity, and you have to purchase it. It is giving us, the link to the OneLake catalog. We will talk about that. The OneLake catalog is basically a list of data stores that we have in our OneLake. Let me just quickly show you how it does look like. You can just filter on the workspace that you are in, and also filter on the type of the items that you have. For example, only the semantic models. You can basically filter on that here, and you have the option for monitoring the jobs and executions, basically, of the scheduled and on-demand stuff, that on-demand executions. The real-time hub, that we will talk about that in the next 2 sessions. Let me just focus that. And what else? The deployment pipelines, we will talk about that, and that's it for now. And we have the option of creating the functions, user-defined functions, that we will talk about them later in the next 2 sessions. Cool. In the right side, you have the settings. That in the settings, you can have some general settings, but my purpose is to talk about the admin portal. In the admin portal, there are lots of things that can be managed by your admin, the admin of the system. If you're admin, you can have access to it. If not, the admin has to do it. But about the capacity that we discussed, it's good to know that that it is going to list the capacities that we have. You can either purchase it or have a look at it. However, I have a trial one, and it is the region is Australia East, for example, and it is giving me the 64 units is active and 15 days left. I have to renew it. Sorry. Yesterday I caught a cold, so my voice should not be that. I hope it is not going to be annoying you, but yeah. These are the list of your capacities that you can just switch them on, off, or manage them. However, these capacities also can be managed in your Azure portal. About the domains, as I mentioned, you can create, the admin can create the domains. Only admin of the system, tenant admin can create that. you can just find out some information here, but in order to start, we can just say, for example, let's call it a the admin, I mean the domain of HR. You can specify the admins for those domains, but I'm not going to specify anyone now. For now, let's only have this. And for each domain, you can create the subdomains. For example, let me just rename it to something else. The HR should not be a good candidate for this one. Let's say the domain name is, you can rename the domain name anytime. Let's call it as professional services, and as a subdomain, you can just say support, for example, or you can create another one as upgrade, as an example, right? These are the domains that you will have, the subdomains. And here you can just assign the workspaces. There are different options that how you can assign the workspaces to this domain. It can be done by a workspace name. You can just find the workspaces that I have here, for example, by writing its name and typing its name, whatever that has DP is going to be available here, or I can assign it by workspace admin. Let's say we have some workspaces created in your tenant, in the whole tenant, in your capacity. Sorry, in your tenant. Then for example, Mehrdad is the admin of those workspaces. Then I can just find the whatever that's the workspaces that are managed by Mehrdad is going to be added underneath of this domain. Of course, a workspace cannot be linked to more than one domain. That's it. And also you can assign it by the capacity. You can just list the capacity. For example, you can say, hey, I want the capacity of trial to just show the stops, and to just assign this domain to those workspaces. But for now, I don't want to do anything at this stage. There are some settings. You can create and actually choose an image for your domain. And, for example, this one is going to be shown in your OneLake catalog when you choose the domain to be shown there. You can, assign admins for your domains that they can change the domain settings and or actually add or remove workspaces assigned to this domain. So basically, the domain admins are going to choose the workspace admins. Then it is, basically domain admins are being delegated from the tenant's admin, and only the tenant's admin can manage the domains from here. About the admins, the admin of the domain can only be set by the tenant's admin, and that's it. So for this domain, for example, who can be the contributor, right? You can just specify a user, security group, or tenants and admin domains only. For example, they can only contribute. And these are just some sort of general basically configurations of your domain. And for the subdomain, it is only having the general setting, the name of that, who are going to be contributors, and default domain. Okay, I think this is good for the domains. We have created one domain, and if we go to our workspaces, for example, this one that was existing from our previous one, then in the domain, in this general section, in the domain, you can just choose this subdomain, right? If it is going to have the subdomain, you cannot choose the domain itself. You have to select the subdomain. Awesome. I think it is good. Let's back to the slides. Understanding Fabric Workspace. As we mentioned, workspaces are a centralized environment for data engineering, right? Not for only the data engineering, it is for other personas as well. But for the data engineers, workspace is going to be their landing page, basically. Workspace is basically facilitating the collaboration between a team of data engineers, or data analyst and data engineer, or data engineer and a scientist, a data scientist, and so on and so forth. Basically, the in the workspace, you can manage your data access and the security by defining the relevant securities. It is going to be object level security or the workspace level security. You can manage your environment, the environment of your Spark engines, and you can basically create your lifecycle management, manage the version controlling that you will have, and also doing the deployment process implementation, and you can just do the performance optimization for your workspace and the other items that you have in your workspace. And it has an integration with the OneLake, so automatically that workspace is going to have access to your OneLake. It has different sections. I would prefer to show it on the workspace itself. Don't worry, if how you don't know how to create it, we will just cover that together. Now, in the workspace, basically there is a list of workspaces here that you can just select from that list to just show the workspace for you. And you can by selecting the other workspace, you can choose the current workspace that is showing on the top now. You can create the items here. You can see and create your workflows, task flows, basically. And in the bottom, you see the items that are available in your workspace. In the top right, you can see the items either as a list like this or as a lineage to see the relationship between each of these items together. For example, for this one, if you choose this, for example, Lakehouse, you can see the upstream and downstream dependencies. And if, for example, anything is going to be changed in this Lakehouse, what will be the impact on the downstream stuffs? For example, if you change a column here, it may impact one of these guys, right, or all of them, and it is going to just show you all downstream items. But the child items are the immediate items that may impact. So, and if there is any plan to change something, you can just notify the let me just find it. For example, if you change something in your semantic model, and it is going to impact those child items, you can notify the contacts. The contacts are basically the owner or the contact list of this item. You can just plan it in ahead and just say, hey, this data set is going to be changed, blah 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 blah, and just be aware of that. By end of this date, it is going to not be available, or it is going to be improved. And they can just take the relevant actions. Let's back to the list view. So yeah, we have the workspace setting and manage access. So by manage access, basically you can provide your the team that are going to work with Fabric environment from here by assigning them to a role, right, or assigning the role to them. You're gonna add the people here, just listing these guys from your organization, and then you can just provide them with either an admin, member, viewer, or contributor, and each of them has a some sort of permissions. Let me just check Fabric roles permissions, the roles in workspaces. I prefer to maybe show it like this to you. Basically, we have 4 levels of the roles, right, in Fabric: admin, member, contributor, and viewer. Let's start from the very top one. For the admin, they can basically update and delete the workspaces, right? The admin of the workspace, I mean, right? That could be assigned by our domain admin as well. And if we don't have any domain management, then the tenant admin can just assign the admins for the workspaces. However, the admin of the system can update and delete the workspace. They can add or remove people, including other admins, right? Members can do anything that admin does, except for deleting and updating workspace and removing people from that, from the workspace. A contributor has access to everything except for the admin stuffs and the member stuff. So they cannot add the members with the lower permissions, right? So what member can do is adding the members or others with lower permissions, and they can also reshare the items. However, with resharing the items, there are some basically restrictions that they can allow the shared guy, actually the person that they are going to share with, they allow that user to reshare it to someone else or not. However, the contributor can basically create anything in Fabric unless it is prohibited. And for the viewer, basically the viewers can only view and read the data, right? They cannot create the items, right? They can connect to the SQL analytics endpoints. They can connect to the data warehouses and so on and so forth. And also, they can view the execution output of a pipeline or something. Even they cannot execute a pipeline. They are only a viewer. Yeah. There's a question here. What's that? Will the slides be shared for reference, or will the video be available to view later? For the first section, unfortunately, the slides cannot be shared. These are, Microsoft assets. I'm not allowed to share them. Sorry, but the video is going to be available immediately on our YouTube channel. Cool. Let's back here. So now we know how what is the workspace level security, and we have another thing that is going to be item level security. For each of the items that we have a different set of the permissions that we can, when we are sharing them with others. And keep in mind, if, for example, let's say you have given a user with contributor permission for in a workspace, and then you want to I don't know and you're not aware of this user's role. You want to just share something like data warehouse to allow that user to read the data, but he already has a higher permission, so that is going to be ignored, and the higher permission is going to be considered for that user. So keep in mind, when you're assigning a role for the user in your Fabric workspace, you need to keep in mind the level of privileges. However, let's have a look at this. This monitoring event house, for example. Sorry for not for this one, for the warehouse. Manage permissions, for example. For the warehouse, you can manage the permission by the users. You can specify the user to what access they're gonna have. For example, this FAP2 user is a contributor, but I can maybe I can add more privileges to this user by adding the reshare or adding audit, right? But already they have access to the read, write, and read data. But if I add another user here, let me just back here quickly, and I want to, for example, share this data warehouse. When I want to share it, I'm going to choose the name of or the email address of that user, and I can just give them some additional permissions. They can, for example, read all data, they can share the granted permission with someone else, or they can monitor the queries, and so on and so forth. So yeah, it is for the item level that can be basically looked at, right? And for example, for the for some items, I know in the item level permission, we can have the let me just check this guy. Sorry. For example, for the notebook, we can share it with them, and the link can be just they can edit that, run a notebook, or they share it with someone else. Yeah, I think that's enough for the item level permission as well. However, for each of these guys, you need to just check that and see how it can be fit. It can fit in your cases. So in the middle, the other thing in the middle of the workspace, we have the task flows. You can create the task, type of the tasks here, and assign them just for understanding your workflow that and your task flow. For example, you define a task of the getting data, and you can assign your items to that that specific task. For example, here in the get data, I can even create an item, or I can link the items to this one. For example, for getting data, I say, hey, this load product data and financial data, for me, they are in the task of getting data. Then these tasks are going to be just shown here. It is going to be for a visual and quick recognition of the items that you have in your workspace. Awesome. Yeah, one of the important things in Fabric workspace is the setting section for the workspace. Let's have a look at that. However, in an overview, here you can manage the Azure, connection, the Azure, your ADLS Gen 2 and Azure Log Analytics. I will let you know how it is going to work. You can set up your Git integration that we will do. You can configure the OneLake settings. You can create the workspace and identities for the authentication. You can just manage network security and private endpoints. You can add event house for monitoring workspace activity, and the other sides are related to the data engineering section that you can manage your Spark configuration, set a default Spark pool for the workspace, and how to adjust. We can adjust the compute settings for your notebooks and Spark jobs, plus configuring runtime settings for Apache Airflow jobs. But let's have a look at this one. So for the bootcamp that we have, let's create a new workspace. And the new workspace, let's call it DP-700 Fabric Database. Fabric Database, that's good. And when you are creating a workspace, you can assign it, an image. You can assign it to a domain that we have created. However, they can be, assigned later as well. You need to actually provide a contact list. The one who is creating that, which is the owner, myself. It's going to be there. Even you can just add more contact lists here and assign it to a license. The license that I'm going to assign is my trial. And when I'm assigning to the trial, or whatever that they have here, from premium above, right? When you choose Pro, it is not here, but from premium above, you will see the semantic model storage format, which is going to be the default storage format for your semantic models, that you can just define it to a large semantic model. However, if you even choose the small semantic model storage format, you can just change it later for your semantic models when you see the data is actually it is the large semantic model applies to your use case. That in most of the cases it is going to be applicable. And if you don't know about that, the semantic model, it actually the size of that can be considered larger for having a better performance for refreshing your data when you have large data transformations, basically. But yeah, depending on how big your semantic model is and how it is going to be calculated and transformed. However, I will go with the trial and keep it as a small semantic model for now. For the template apps, I'm not going to work on it now, but however, you can create it, and we will talk about this one maybe later. Okay, yeah, we have created our workspace in the capacity of trial. And yeah, let's go to the workspace setting. In the setting, there are different sections that as a data engineer, you should know about, some of them, most of them actually. In the general, as I mentioned, you can just have those stuffs that we, in the creation of that, we looked at. And in the license, info, again, you can always change the license. You can always change the semantic model. And also it is going to give you the connection link. This connection link is basically going to be available for you when you want to connect to the data sources in this workspace, like the data warehouses, data lakehouses from your basically data editor tools like SSMS, right? And or even from Visual Studio Code, where you have the extension for that. However, it is going to be available for you if you want to just connect to your data sources. In the Azure connection section, you can connect your Azure actual data lake storage and to this sorry. Yeah. You can connect your ADLS account to this OneLake, actually to this workspace, and your data is going to be available there. You can just configure it, and however, in low permission for this one. And for the Azure Log Analytics, basically it is a the famous Azure Log Analytics that you can just configure it and link it to your Azure Log Analytics, where you have the other resources in Azure, and you can have a an overview of what's happening in your Fabric as well, right? All of the logs that are happening in your workspace, like creating a item, or the whatever that is happening in your workspace, like the execution of them, or even I think accessing the data is the access data is going to be monitored somewhere else. But for this Azure Log Analytics, it's going to be in the workspace level, not the data level. The system storage is basically going to show us our models. Let me just show you something here quickly, that how it does look like. For example, for DP-600 that I have here, if we go to the workspace setting, it will show the semantic models that I have, right? And it is showing me how big my models are and what is the size of them. So yeah, let's back to this DP-700 one, and yeah, storage. The next option, the next setting in the workspace setting is the Git integration. So for the Git integration, let me just see if I have any slide for this. For the data, let me just look at this. So the data security, we talked about the workspace roles. We covered the item permissions. For the third option, the compute or granular permissions, it is going to basically be for the the data permission itself, data security itself, in the role level of the role-based, actually role level securities, or the column level securities, or even the object level securities in the data storage, that we will talk about them when we reach in warehouse, data warehouse in Fabric. And for OneLake data access control, we will look at that as well. The CI/CD in Fabric. Let me, before I jump into the section that we have for Git integration, let's talk about this. We can configure the version control in Fabric. It has a built-in connector to for the Git integration, and you can only integrate for now to Azure DevOps. and the GitHub and GitHub Enterprise. For these two, GitHub and GitHub Enterprise, and only the cloud version and not the on-prem one. We, for this, I know, implement data projects, we will do that when we reach in data warehouse again, and we will create and configure, deployment pipelines in a bit. So for the Git itself, let's have a look at what we have. For the Git, as I mentioned, we can connect it either to Azure DevOps or the GitHub. So before connecting them, we need to, maybe create a project and a branch for that. Let's have a look at it, and quickly, let me just go to my GitHub. Let me create a new repo, and let's call it DP-700 Fabric Database. Let's create this repository, and let me just create DP-700 Fabric Database, and let me okay. So let's have this one, and yeah, it should be good. It is in the main branch. Yeah, that's good. We have a main branch, and I need the URL of this one, I think, but let's see. For the GitHub, I'm already connected to this, GitHub accounts. However, you're gonna need, if you're in the GitHub or if you're in Azure DevOps, it is going to be different. But for the GitHub, you will need to go to the settings, and then at the developer setting, and just generating a token, and then you're gonna use that token to be used for this connection. It is not a big thing, it is only needed actually a name that is going to be a convenient name for you, the token, and if you have your repository URL. However, I'm connected to this one before. Let's connect to it, and my repository URL is going to show me the branches that I have, and then connect and sync. That's it, right? Now we are connected to our Git repository. Whatever item that I add here is going to be synced, and actually it is going to be available to be synced there. For starting, let's create a Lakehouse, for example, my Lakehouse, and let's call it DP-700, my Lakehouse. I just want to have a appropriate name for this for now. I don't want the schemas. Yeah, let's have the schemas as well. So once this Lakehouse is created, the source control is going to identify, hey, it is a new one. I don't have it in Git, and you can just push it to your source control. Cool. Yeah, we have created that. We can just upload a file. It doesn't need really. Let me just go for, I just want to show you something. Yeah. Now here you can see, the source control has one item which is added. The status is added. I can just select it and commit. You could add a commit message here, an appropriate one for your team or for yourself even, to just push it. We weren't able to. Please check the technical details. What's that? Credentials not authorized. Oh, why? Did I choose the right one. Let me quickly not sure if let me see. It has read and write access to code. It should be fine. It has the right access. So why it is not pushing first commit? Is it still complaining? Yep, committed. I don't know what was the problem. It happens. So anyway, it has been pushed to our source control now. Let's have a look at what it does look like, how it does look like in our GitHub. So here now you can see a folder has been created as the name of the item that I have, DP-700, my Lakehouse, .Lakehouse. Basically this is going to just add some names to your object name, but it is going to just show you the shortcuts that you have created or the the metadata that you have. However, it is empty. There's nothing, right? And the other thing that is applicable for CI/CD in Fabric is the deployment pipelines. Basically, when you work in a IT-driven company, you are not going to only work in one environment, right? Basically, you're gonna start from your development environment, then you push it to a test environment for even either your clients or your colleagues to review that, to test it. And then once everybody is happy, you have the thumbs up, then you can push it to the production, right? So in between, you need to just deploy whatever that you have, changed or created from dev, just push them to test, then prod, and it is going to be always there. From the prod, the business users are going to, bring up, something new, or defining a new project, or a change request coming to your office, right? Then again, it is going to be just having this cycle, and it is making the continuous implementation and continuous delivery or continuous deployment. So in Fabric, we have a deployment pipeline built in that is basically, you can just define your environments, and then you can compare the items between those stages. The environments that you're talking about are workspaces. Basically, you are going to create a workspace for your test environment or for your prod environment. Then you can just create the deployment rules to have a smooth deployment for your application and solution that you are basically creating. And all of the items that we talked about are also available and visible using the Fabric REST APIs. If you're very keen on using the REST APIs, there are some possibilities, and also it works with Git commands to commit and update workspaces. Let's just create the create deployment pipeline. So there's a question before we jump into that one. What is the recommended approach for organizing environments within workspaces? Should the storage pipeline and notebooks be separated into different workspaces, or is it better to keep them together? It really depends on how you're designing your workspaces, but there are some maybe use cases or best practices that are available in the industry. I give you some examples. One example could be, let's say we have a big data solutions that the security of the data is very important. Then you will have your storage, the actual storage, and then your data in one workspace, right? And then you ask your data engineers to only work with the metadata and some sample data in another workspace to have the notebooks, the pipelines, and this kind of stuff. And that the data transformation, all of those data engineering tasks can be done in a separate in a separate workspace, and then just load the data into the other workspace. That's possible. These are the things that happen in the industry and with different companies. But yeah, just separating them is going to maybe make a better experience of controlling over your users and your assets in the fabric. We may create some videos with that regard. What are the best practices when we are in the real world actually projects. But yeah, that was a great question. Thank you. So let's back to the deployment pipeline. So in order to create a deployment pipeline, firstly, I need to create a new workspace, and I will call that new workspace as let's say DP-700 fabric database test, for example, and also assign it to a trial version, and that's good for now. So I'm going to move to my ordinary workspace that I have here, and then create the pipeline. The pipeline that I'm going to create, I can just name it, let's say deployment pipeline, and let's say for test. Yeah. By default, it is going to just give us 3 environments, which is very normal in the organizations. But sometimes we may have more at 4 environments, like development, test, pre-prod, and the production. Depending what is the strategy of those companies. But we want to just test it and demonstrate how it is working. I delete the production one and only keep these 2. And yeah, the development and test are fine with me. After saving, I can just assign the workspaces. For the dev, I assign this one. And for the test, I assign test. And just tick and tick for this one. After saving, it is going to start just identifying the items that are not available in the destination, and it is identified. It is only in source. But I was questioned today for 2 times, I think, about the deployment pipelines in DP-600. That was interesting. And in both questions, it was asking when we do the deployment for the as part of the pipelines, what items are going to be moved, right? It is just listing some items there. What items are going to move? And it was interesting that in both sections, but both questions, it was listing this pipeline as well, the deployment pipeline test, right? It was just maybe it was important that that this deployment pipeline is not going to be moved to the to that workspace. And yeah, it is also good to know. And the deployment pipelines, let me just show you something like this. The deployment pipeline is not a basically an item in the workspace. It is something linked to that workspace. It is not an item, but since it is linked to this one, it is going to be available there. Yeah, now it is the deployment has been completed, right? During your deployments, let's say you have a notebook in your first environment. For example, let's just have some test on it. I'm gonna in the Lakehouse, I'm going to just load a sample data quickly. I don't want this. I'm in SQL Analytics. That is why I don't see that. Just let's upload some file. Upload a file. Yeah, start with sample data. I want to see the NYC taxi. Just showing you something maybe that is going to be useful also. In the meantime, let's go to our about data security. We covered that, which is good. No, good progress today. It takes time a bit to load the file. Let me just have a look at my notes just to make sure that I'm not going to miss anything for today's session. We should back to workspace settings once it is done. Workspace level. Cool, that's fine. So now the data has been loaded in our Lakehouse, right? It is a partition. Actually, in a the table in the underneath of the schemas. For example, for in the year of 2017, we have this data, and let's quickly create a new notebook to just connect it to this guy. The notebooks are basically where we can do the data engineering using the codes of Python, Scala, SQL, or even TSQL for our analytics. And from here, I want to just look at the data in this table. You can just load the data easily by just loading the data like this, right? And let's save it with something. Execution. Yeah, the session started, and it is executing, which is good. And let's save it as my Lakehouse NYC notebook. There's no built-in resources here. Okay. So yeah, we have now this is still connecting. And starting the engine. Cool. While this one is busy loading, we can go to the deployment pipeline test, right? And let's just refresh that. Yeah, it is going to be basically identified by itself when we load it. And just showing the notebooks that we have created in this one. We can create the rules. For this one, for example, the notebook that we have here was just linking to this my Lakehouse, right? But here eligible for rules, it's not available here. But yeah, for this one, let's I will look at it later. I need to check some stuffs, but however, if when it comes to it is still not. Let me just do the deployment. Cool. And we can just see the items that we have here in the destination workspace. So let's back to our main discussion. And the other thing, the notebooks that we have added are available here to just being pushed to the the source control that we have. In the workspace setting, so we have gone through the Git integration. We connected to the Git repository, and we have done the deployment. There's one section for OneLake settings, the OneLake, and how this basically workspace is going to behave. There's a OneLake file explorer that you can just download the app. It is going to be installed in your Windows, and you can just navigate and explore the folders in your OneLake and see the actual files behind each table. And if, for example, if we go to this Lakehouse and click on the table that you have here, and you can see the files behind that. And as you can see, there's a Parquet file and a folder of Delta log, and this data log is basically a JSON that is showing what happened to your data, in a row, right? And again, let's back to our workspace and its setting. However, the settings can be coming from here as well. Let me just pin this guy to top. You can just go to the settings. In the OneLake, you could just download the OneLake app and start exploring. You can enable cache for shortcuts. The shortcuts are basically one of the data sources that we can use to just bring the data into your workspace, right? And but the thing is that for the shortcuts, you're not bringing the actual data for sure, right? And you're you're just pointing to your files in your file system, like ADLS Gen 2, Amazon S3, and the other things that we have. We will check what other shortcuts are available for us in a workspace. But that data can be cached from those files, and and you can have a retention period for your caching. The caching it can be just retained for 28 days, and it is going to be reset. You can just set the days that you need that cache to be available on your OneLake, and when you basically refresh the data, access the data from for those shortcuts, is going to just renew this, extend this retention period, right? And after this time, if it is not going to be touched, the data is going to be deleted. The cache is going to be deleted from your shortcut. One of the important thing is that the caching is how the caching is working in our OneLake is that it caches the data into OneLake, and it keeps checking the data with the version of the data that you have in OneLake with the source. If there is any different version, then it is going to refresh the cache. Otherwise, it is going to stay there unless until you actually basically reference that data or access that data somehow, and then it can be something like this, and that cache can be reset for any reason. You want to just make it wipe it out, and then again to be cached. However, you can just set it, for example, for 20 days, and it is going to be very helpful for saving the time, and data transferring between in your network. It is going to save maybe a lot of resources. There is an option for the OneLake that you can add the diagnostic events to a Lakehouse. It is basically going to be an option that any access to the data in the OneLake, right, in that workspace that we are checking, any access to that data is going to be locked, right? It is going to be just locked to that database, basically. Whatever actually the issues that is going to be with that data, and we can just switch it on, and the storage of that is going to be a Lakehouse in your workspace. However, that Lakehouse can be used by other workspaces to lock those diagnostic events to a Lakehouse, to that Lakehouse. For example, here I'm going to just go to the DP-700 that I have. It takes time actually to start diagnosing your items, right? Your basically your OneLake, OneLake data for this workspace. But maybe at the end of this session we can have a look at this. and in the bottom, it is just showing this workspace stores diagnostic events from other workspaces. And if there is any other workspaces that are going to be linked to the same, a Lakehouse, basically it is going to be listed here. Cool. For OneLake, there is one more thing for the delegated settings. OneLake settings that basically the authentication with OneLake user delegated, basically a shared access signature tokens that you can just switch it on for the entire organization. And also you're going to enable Delta Lake to Apache Spark, Apache Iceberg table format visualization. What is it basically doing? If you know Snowflake, they're using the Iceberg technology for storing the data. So with switch it on, basically when the Delta tables are going to be created in your OneLake, a metadata of the actually compatible with Iceberg tables are going to also be created to just make those tables to be readable and functionable for those workloads that are going to utilize that data, basically. So you can just switch it on if you have anything like that. Just for that one that we basically enabled the diagnostic events onto a Lakehouse, we can just go to our Lakehouse, and if we just refresh our files, basically those diagnostic are going to be, those logs are going to be, available in the OneLake workspace, and the ID of your workspace. And if you look at the URL here, you can see the workspace ID, which is equal to this one. Let me just query the data and just check. If there's a table for this. Oh, we have the table. Cool. And I would like to have a look at the other Lakehouse that I have here, and there was no diagnose event. Yeah, I had something here before. It is in another. It is in another. Basically workspace. That's in what time basically the data was accessed. It is going to be something like this at this time. This resource ID and the category of that. It is actually a big JSON that you can start learning about this log. It is going to be a big log for you if you basically enable it for yourself. You can always switch it off, but I'm going to do that. I don't want to eat my resources. However, just one tip here is you cannot switch this diagnostic events to a why it is off now. It is just showing something wrong here for me. It is DP-700. It is not showing something right. Yeah, there's another monitoring in your workspace setting that you can add a monitoring, event house. This monitoring is in the workspace item levels, that whatever that is happening in your workspace items, it is going to be automatically logged into an event house. The event house, as you may know or might not know, we will just have a look at that, is a KQL database to store the collected logs, in that database. I need to, and just you need to keep in mind, when you switch it on, you need to have an event house. Let me reload it. I just canceled it, and maybe it doesn't like to be canceled. In the monitoring section, for what is it saying? It's not giving me a monitor workspace to turn on logging for this space. It is not allowing me to do that for now. However, I can show you the other workspace that I have here, the monitoring has been enabled for this, and it basically it is, the data is going to be created in the log of all of those logs are going to be stored in this monitoring database. The monitoring database that we have is a KQL database, as I mentioned, and it can be queried, and there are different tables for the items that we can basically check the logs, right? For example, for the event house, for event house metrics, for the GraphQL metrics, GraphQL logs, all of them are going to be logged here. However, they are empty. I just maybe show you something here for the ingest data. Let me check if there is any data for these guys. Nothing. Semantic model log, mirror database. All the tables are empty. Yeah, for example, for this event house metric, it is going to just show us, some data related to the logs. There are some samples that you can find for the log analytics from the GitHub in Fabric GitHub samples. I'm not sure. Fabric samples. In the Fabric samples, there was a log analytics, if I'm not mistaken. Let me just check. No, it is not log analytics. Let me see what should be the name of that. Monitoring sample. Yeah, it is just a monitoring sample. We can just create and connect this one, but I'm basically looking for this monitoring hub. Yeah, if I find it, I will share with you guys. There are some, sample codes that you can find in the Fabric samples for how to basically, how to, write your KQL and just, and how to basically aggregate them and find the issues that you are seeing there. But it is good to know how you can manage it, basically. Cool. Let's move on to the next section. In the workspace settings, still, for the OneLake, we discussed that. For the workspace identity, the workspace identity is basically you can create, like the Azure, identity that we had. This is something like that. But basically, this identity is going to use as authentication method for connecting to your Azure resources, right? Like Azure SQL, whatever that you have, and the users basically that are in this workspace are permitted to utilize these workspace identities for doing the authentication. It is very useful for the shortcuts that you're gonna have it outside of here and just that are behind the firewalls maybe. And about the monitoring, we discussed about it for the event house. And important part of that is the Spark settings. As a data engineer, you should know the Spark settings well. Before that, let's jump into the admin portal. In the admin portal, in the where was it? The data engineering section. In the tenant settings, let me just find it. Oh. Come on. No, not in the workspaces. Not there. But I remember it was in the trial. Yeah. Cool. In your admin portal and the capacity settings, choose your capacity. Then just in the data engineering section, you can open the Spark setting. When the admins are purchasing Microsoft Fabric, they are basically purchasing the a level of engines and the cores, basically, right? The processors. If we look at this Microsoft Fabric Spark Spark nodes, let me just check if it shows the numbers. The full number. I want the full number. That's good to have it. Node size, nodes, but I'm looking for something else. Fabric Spark SKUs. Nope, not here. Spark Compute is the same thing that we are looking at. Yeah. Number of nodes in each fabric capacity. If I can find that, concurrency limits maybe. Yeah, I'm looking for this SKU limits. There's a question in the chat. Yes, this is going to be immediately available in our YouTube channel. So when the admins are purchasing Fabric. Basically, they are purchasing them by SKU, right? And they are, each of these SKUs are a combination of the, the Spark core, vCores, the processors, and how the number of them, and even the size of each of these, basically, the size of the storage for each of these capacities, right? Basically, wanted to find something else, but I cannot find it, unfortunately, to show you what I'm looking for. Yeah, and however, the Sparks setting in Fabric is going to talk about the number of those cores and how they are going to be assigned to each capacity, right? For example, if a capacity has 64 vCores, and we have different teams of the data engineering teams that are going to work with the Spark engines. The admin of the system, the tenant admin, is responsible to just assign the right number of each of these guys to each of these the cores, actually vCores, to each workspace, right? And then they are not going to and just prevent a job to burst and utilize all the resources in that capacity. So there are different methods based on the strategies of the organizations. By default, workspace admins can customize their pools, right? The pools are basically the environment of the Spark that we have, right? And they can customize it, and there is no minimum or there is no maximum of the things that they can use. They can use whatever that is in the tenant available, in that capacity available. It can be switched off. They cannot create it is going to be part of the configurations for the whole tenant, but it is going to just switch off customized workspace pools for in the workspace level. So if you're admin of the workspace and don't have access to admin portal, and you cannot change the pools, so it is something happened here. Then you can just add the pools here. The pools are basically, you can just name them something, and for example, pool for dev, right? The Spark pool for dev. There are different basically sizes, node sizes, small, medium, large, and there is a guidance here that is talking about the items that, for example, a Spark pool can be defined with node sizes that ranges from a small compute node with 4 vCore and 32 gigabytes of memory, right? Like this is a small one, and to a double, extra large compute node. So like this, basically XX large, 64 vCores and with 512 gigabytes of the memory. So the pool that we are basically creating here is going to adhere to them. And there is a default, Spark pool, which is called starter pool, is available in Fabric. That you need to know this starter pool is a pre-hydrated and pre-warmed up, basically, pool that is going to be executed, in seconds, right? However, if you go with a custom pool and you just specify your needs for the the compute engines that and Spark engine that you need for your data engineering things. It takes 2-3 minutes, 4 minutes to only start that pool for you. So keep in mind, if you're going to use, if you're going to basically have a quick, calculation and data engineering task, so maybe it is better to use your starter pool. However, there is an option for the admin that they can disable starter pool for workspaces. You can just switch it on and off. However, let's just give the opportunity to workspace admins to create the pool. For creating the pool, let's back to here. You can just name it something. Let's say Spark pool for dev. We are only doing the development. I don't want a big size of that. I only want a small one. The cores that I'm going to use, the available cores basically are 32 here for me for the small one. But if I go for the larger one, basically the number of nodes actually are going to be calculated here. Let's go with a small one, and the number of nodes that I'm going to start with are from 1 to 5 nodes, and the enabling auto scale is available. It can be only it can be disabled or enabled. If you are disabling that, it's going to start with that 5 nodes, and it is not going to of course it is not going to be auto scaled. And but the good thing about that is it is going to give the opportunity for other tools, other notebooks that are waiting for this engine to be executed, and yeah, it is going to be a good opportunity for them. However, it can be auto scale. It is starting from 1 to 5, and you need to again keep in mind for the billing point of view, it is going to be built in the auto scale is going to be built for the usage, pay as you go. And you can also enable dynamic allocation for the executors, where the executors that are going to be available there. Then yeah, you can create it. I just created to be just see that in the in our workspace setting. And about the job bursting, as I mentioned, it is for the whole capacity, the workspaces in that capacity, that you can allow the job, the notebook that you have, to utilize the maximum of your the maximum of your actually 3 times of the maximum of your nodes, basically, that is going to utilize all the nodes available in your capacity. Sometimes it is good, sometimes it is not. It depends on your organization how to want to manage the basically the resources. So let's save this Spark setting. We have added this guy, and we let the workspace admin to configure the Spark settings. Cool. Let's go to our workspace again and back to our, where is it? Yeah, in the data engineering section, Spark settings. In the pool section, as I mentioned, it has a default pool for workspace. You can specify a default pool for your workspace, that it is by default, it is starter pool. As I mentioned, it executes very faster. There was a comparison here, I think. Sorry. There was a comparison here for how long it takes time to be executed. Yeah, it is 5 to 10 seconds, the default settings, 5 to 10 seconds. If we go for a custom one, it takes 2 to 3 minutes for starting the session for the pool that you are selecting. However, that starter pool can be even customized in terms of its the number of nodes. That's the maximum number of nodes that are going to be utilized in the execution. We can also customize the compute configuration for a single item that you are going to basically execute the notebook in, right? It can be switched on or off, for a custom, for the item that you are going to execute. We can just, in the notebook, for example, we can specify what pool is going to be used here. Is for the runtime that we have the sessions available here. Nope. No. Where we gets back to the workspace setting again. The next thing, which is also important, is the environments in your Spark. The environments are basically the let's say the environment of the Spark that we define, like the libraries that are available for a for a notebook that we are going to run, and we can just customize that environment for ourselves. We can set actually a default environment for ourselves. We need to create a new environment. In order to create a new environment, let's say my Spark environment 01, and let's use it. However, we can utilize the runtimes that we have in in our Fabric available. There are some built-in libraries that are coming with your basic environment. That the libraries available in Java, Scala, Python, R, and you can add libraries from your external repositories, or even upload a custom library for yourself if you are very advanced and needing your own libraries. The thing is that I want to talk about is this the compute section, that what pool you are going to utilize, right? For example, the pool that I've created there, and what is the Spark driver core, what is the size of that memory, what is the executor cores, and the executor memories, and also if I'm going to just enable dynamic allocation or not. And yeah, these are the things, and I think we're good. And also you can specify the runtime that you're going to assign to this environment. The runtime is these versions of the runtimes are done by Microsoft Fabric, and are available to us, and it's going to just keep improving, and based on what version of the Spark and what version of the Delta this runtime has been created. The latest one is 1.3 for us. Here, let's back to the workspace setting again. In the Spark, we could set it, default or choosing the runtime version. For the jobs in Spark setting, you can, the jobs actually are not going to be happen all the time, right? You can maximize, the course for active Spark jobs, by default, or not. It depends, how you're again going to manage it on your end. And there's a session timeout, for those runtimes that when you start a session, there of course there's a timeout if anything has been finished up until that a specified timeout is going to be good, but if it is not finished, it's going to be over. So the default timeout is 20 minutes. You can even extend it to the hours, right? About the high concurrency, it is basically some sort of sharing the sessions between the notebooks that you have. That is the same story is going to be happen for a pipeline that is running multiple notebooks. They are going to share, their sessions. They are not, each of them is not going to start a new session. So that session can be shared, but and it is basically, to just reduce the start time for each session. Yeah. And there's an automatic log for, basically for machine learning, experiments and the models that are going to be available in our log metrics. I think we are good with this, but let me check the other sections in the workspace setting that we are not missing anything related to that. Maybe in the data factory also is a good thing to know, is the pool that we can basically customize for our Airflow runtime. There's a starter pool. It is like what we explained in Apache for the Spark, and here you can just create a pool for your Airflow. There's two options for the large and small, and you can just auto scale it or not for your Airflow executions. That is good. And if we go back to our notebook, then we can change the environment, or if there is any environment that I have created here. For example, my Spark environment one is going to utilize this one instead of the previous one, right? And that's it. Yeah. We will talk about the notebooks later more. It was just maybe some sort of introduction to the items that we covered here, to just understand better what we have in our workspace setting. I hope this workspace setting was delivered good. So it is 2 hours and 10 minutes that we are live now. I'm going to just talk about these slides quickly. When it comes to the data ingestion into Microsoft Fabric, there are various options, depending on the data set that you have, depending on the skill sets that you have in your organization, and the preferences, and maybe the security considerations that is going to force you which type of data ingestion method you're going to use. For example, if you want to go with a low code, you can use Dataflow Gen 2. It is, you're going to use the Power Query, power to just do your data ingestion. The data factory pipeline is going to provide us with an orchestration, and also using the data copy data activities, or even executing the scripts, or executing the start procedures, to, for example, load a data from a ADLS Gen to your data warehouse. You can have, use the notebooks, for example, when you want to call an API outside of Fabric, right? Or, for the data ingestion, or accessing a file in your, Amazon S3, for example. You can use the shortcut to files, or, and where you don't want to, actually load the data itself into Fabric, and you want to only have the shortcuts. You can mirror the databases that you have outside of Fabric, or even the SQL database in Fabric. That I know there are different options for the mirroring. You can mirror the entire database from Azure SQL, from Cosmos DB, Snowflake, and recently I've seen PostgreSQL, Oracle, and I think MongoDB, if I'm not mistaken. However, there are different types of the mirroring that we may discuss later, the other sessions. But for the mirroring, there are also other, several types of the mirroring. For example, one type of the mirroring is database mirroring, that is bringing the actual data into Fabric, and which is basically replicating the database. Whatever changes that is there is going to be landed in Fabric, and in your OneLake, basically. And the data is going to be stored in the Delta table format in the Parquet file. Another type of the data ingestion is the event stream, when you need the real-time data just streaming to Fabric, like the IoT devices, the APIs, even whatever that is, basically pushing the data, streaming data to the event stream. And very obvious one is of the data ingestion method is directly uploading a file, like what I've done, in the for that data in the Lakehouse. And on the other hand, for the data storage, the destination of that data ingestion methods, we have different options, right? We have that which is basically going to, in a way that which of them we are going to choose. It depends on the size of the data. It depends on the type of the data that we are getting. For example, for the Lakehouse, if we have a sorry, the Lakehouse is our option if we have a semi-structured data, we have unstructured data, and structured data. We have a combination of them, then we go with the Lakehouse. If we want to create a shortcut, we go with the Lakehouse. If we have a fully structured data, then why not going with the data warehouse and using the power of the SQL behind that? And we also have the SQL database in Fabric, as you know, for the transactional, as a transactional workload. That it was a nice thing to add it to Fabric last year. And also, another storage option is the Event House, which is good for analyzing the data in the log data, basically in at the scale. When you want to, when you don't have time for doing the doing the basically data transformation and waiting for the batching files, and you want something right away to just make a decision about that data, then we go with the Event House KQL databases. For the ingestion method, we have basically two main ingestion methods, right? It is batching or streaming. batching is, from its name, we are, just loading the data for a period of time, for example, for the past month or the past week or the past day, whatever, that we have. We load them in a just in a staging tables, let's say, a staging environment. Then we do the transformation on them. The jobs are running. We do the comparison with our data warehouse, for example. If we are going to utilize a medallion, data architecture, then we load the data in the semantic models, and the reports are going to be created from that in Power BI, and they can be utilized. And on the other hand, we have the streaming data. That's we only, as I mentioned, we don't have time for all of these processes. We want something, to be transferred quickly, and then and actually adding some action on top of that, right? So in order to choose an ingestion method, either going with batch or streaming, we need to consider some items. One of them is data volume. Maybe for that batch processing, I need to just specify that if sorry, I forgot this. Sorry, take water. So let's answer some questions. Ashwan, in mirroring databases, if the original database changes, does the replicated one update itself? Are they synced or not? Yes, the schema is going to be changed. Yeah. Basically, it is maybe the promise of Microsoft Fabric that they say, hey, if you want a mirrored database, you don't have to be worried about any maintenance. Changing in the databases, changing in a column or something, schema, is going to be part of the maintenance. In Fabric, they promise that you're not going to be an integration engineer, right? You should just sit and do your analytics, per se. I don't know how it can be achievable, but it is the promise that they had. Okay, let's back to our discussion. For the ingestion method that we are going to basically choose, there are different types of the the ingestion, as we mentioned. For the ingestion, it is one is for the batch processing or streaming, or even if we choose between the mirroring shortcuts or whatever, right? Some factors are going to be considered. The mirroring is not as a shortcut. No, it is not. Isaac, the mirroring. No, we have three types of the mirroring basically. That we need to discuss about that in a separate discussion. But a quick answer: we have database mirroring, that is bringing the whole data. Actually, sorry, the data database schema plus its data. And on the other side, we have the metadata mirroring that is happening with Azure Databricks, for example, right? It is basically a shortcut. But for the other stuffs, it is mirroring the data, not only the schema. So for the consideration, the data volume is important. If we have a big data, we may consider to have the shortcut, maybe, or we may consider, other options, right? For a direct query in semantic model, or lots of things. For the data type, if what is that data? It is a file, it is a structured one, semi-structured one. How often, the integration frequency, how often we want to access the new data. Do we need the real-time data, or we can wait, a week for a data to be, actually transformed and prepared for us. The other one is, the developer persona and skill set. For example, if in your company and yourself are more familiar with SQL, okay, that's good. We can go with those options. If you are familiar with Python, then we can work on Notebook. So it depends on the skill sets and the developer, persona. And the integration needs. Do we need, for example, to create a dimensional model for and a type SCD2 for our dimension, or it is only a replacement of the data? Do we need to integrate data from different sources? Do we have different sources for our analytics? Do I have to just integrate all of them in the same shape or not? If yes, so I may need to consider SQL. I may need to consider data flow, or kind of things. And how the performance, what are the requirements in terms of the performance? Are we talking about small data and or the big data that the performance matters there? What is the level of that, and how complex our data transformation will be? If it is going to be just wrapped up with a data flow as a low-code, no-code, then we can use that. If we need more complex stuffs, maybe we need to consider Python or even T-SQL, right? So it depends on lots of things when we want to choose an ingestion method. And even for the data store, as we talked about, the same things are going to be happen. The data volume, the data type, skill sets that we are going to choose, and the data organization, how the data is going to, the type of the data that we have. Are they going to be files, or going to be tables? Can be considered as a table or not? Or we only need the Parquet files, for example. Do we need to read and write on the tables, for example, or not, using the SQL? If yes, we go with the data warehouse. If not, we have to go for, we can go for a Lakehouse option. And what are the security features, that we are thinking about? Are we going to enable the data masking, for example, or are we going to, having a row level security, or up column level security? Then we need to just consider all of these stuffs and then choose the right option. No worries, we will talk about all of these data warehouse and data and Lakehouse, as well as the event house in our future sessions. But just warm up your brain for what we are going to choose, and you're going to be asked in the exam, maybe based on these options. And one of the other options is the considerations that we have, the integration and accessibility, and how we are going to make the data available for others. Is that data can be, for example, we want to do an integration in data warehouse, but we need the other data that is sitting in the Lakehouse. Can I make a shortcut to that? Can I, just combine these data together? We need to think about how that data can be accessed. About the ingestion latency, if how often we need the data for. Do we need that real time again, or we can wait for that one to be processed? For the for the real time, we go with the KQL database as an example. And if we need to have any maintenance and performance optimization, then we choose from there. Integrate data sources in Fabric. There are different ways of doing the data integration. The data integration is not, it is not related only for the different sources that we have. Maybe in one source of the data, we need to integrate the data and do the transformation and just push the data in the right format that we need. There are different options there. The data factory workload is providing us with the data flow gen 2, which is a low-code, no-code environment that is basically using the Power Query. You need to know the functions in the Power Query. If you have, actually short knowledge of that, like me, just go and learn more about it, because you're gonna be asked for basically the functions even in the M language. We have the pipelines in the data factory workload. As you know, it is used for the orchestrations, and also for basically doing some data integration in place. We have the notebooks, as we mentioned about. We can do the complex data engineering using different languages and different libraries. We can benefit from like lots of libraries there. If you're happy with you're happy with the coding. And in the real-time intelligence also, one of the in integration methods, there you can just get the data from different sources, streaming from different sources, and integrate everything together and then push it to your destination. What is the best practice for ingesting large amount of data in terms of speed? Notebook, can we use data flow gen 2, or is it too slow? It depends on your source as well, Ashkan. It is not only related to the reading data. For example, if you are going to use the data flow gen 2, you need to know how for example, if your data source has the ability that we can fold some some data transformation in that side, then we go with the data flow gen 2. Otherwise, maybe we can go with the other stuffs like notebook, for example. And in some cases, we may have to have a direct query for the shortcuts. If the data really is not required to be in Fabric. However, the data flow gen 2 has other amazing options that can help with the large data, like fast copy. The fast copy is one of the features in data flow gen 2 that you can just bring billions of records to your destination. It is how big you're talking about, about the large amount of data. Yeah, we talked about the pipelines. The pipelines are basically the orchestrations of the activities that we have, that we can do the data transformations, data copying, moving the basically the data between source and destination. And we can also have some control flows. And even in that pipeline, the control flows that they can execute a notebook, they can execute a data flow, it can just orchestrate the whole execution of the items that we have. And it can be parameterized, and we can just check the the pipeline runs and how it was executed, and what was the input and output of that stuff, and just finding the bottlenecks and these kind of stuffs. About the notebooks, there are some supported languages that I would prefer to go to the the notebook itself, that as you can see, these are cells that we can write our code, and it can be code or markdown. If it is a markdown, this is a markdown. It is going to be just shown as a text here. We can basically make it bigger, or bold it or something. It's a good thing for documentation, because the notebook is going to be an interactive environment that we can analyze the data, we can transform it. Even as a data engineer, we're going to transform it and prepare the data, and we can just see the results here, and the data scientists are going to just analyze their data here and put it in the basically the charts and seeing the data. However, there are different languages that you can use when you are in notebooks. These are Python, Scala, SQL, and R, and you can use the Python or TSQL for data warehouse. And in your markdown, you can even just convert it to code cell afterward. And just maybe we can make it like a code. Oh, sorry, markdown. Yeah, cool. Yeah, as I mentioned, it can be scheduled and automated by the Spark jobs, and even for the notebooks, we can parameterize them. For example, for this one, let's say param1 equals to 1 to 3 as an example, and then we can just mark this one as parameter, toggle parameter cell. When we want to call this, let me just it is saved. When we want to call this guy in a pipeline, then we are going to be asked for just entering this parameter, because we have the parameter here. Let's go. We will touch in detail for Spark. And maybe the last thing for tonight is Fabric real-time intelligence. Let's just take one step back. These are basically where we can integrate the data in Fabric, right? So one of them, that was pipeline, the data factory, basically data flow pipeline, then notebook, and also we can do that in the real-time intelligence. As an overview, the real-time intelligence is basically a let's say a category of the things in a hub called a real-time hub that has different items. The first item, which is getting the data from sources, basically the source of the data from source is streaming to that, is called event stream, and we can ingest, process, and transform our data, right? And then that data can be pushed either to a event house, a KQL database, where we can just where we can basically query that that database using KQL language, and or just send it to the Power BI or to an activator, for example. It is a real-time data, right? It is coming from a manufacturer. The machines are working somewhere, and one of the machines is not working because of the high temperature, let's say. And quickly, one manager or someone who must be assigned to that task. So it is going to be an activator. It's going to send a message in let's say Teams or Microsoft Teams or something like that. And we can then have the KQL query sets that is going to be set on top of event house. We can just write the KQL queries, and on top of that, for those queries, we can create the real-time dashboard. It is really real-time dashboard. And all of that data in the event house is going to be stored in OneLake, as we know. Cool. For today, I think there are 2 items that I missed. So from this list, we have configured Spark workspace setting, domain, OneLake settings. For this one, it is really a diverse one for data workflow workspace settings, which applies to different items in Fabric. But we worked on the configure in version control, create and configure deployment pipelines. We have worked on the workspace level access control, item level access control. Apply sensitive labels to items, endorse items. These 2 are remained. Implement and use workspace logging. We just did that on the workspace setting. We can just check if anything has been logged so far. And there was some issue with basically creating that log because of some issue with the event house. It was not created. Design and implement schedules and event-based triggers. We can do that in the next sessions when we are going to basically work on the data ingestion methods. Awesome. Just one thing for the endorse items, I would like to go back to this section. The endorsement is basically just how we are, as the owner of that item, how we are promoting that item to be trusted by our colleagues in that workspace. For example, I should say, I have a Lakehouse which has a data of the gold layer, for example, or I have worked on a Spark environment. I have created a Spark environment, and I would like to just endorse it, right, as a promoted one. I'm promoting that. Or it is, there are some, actually different options that you can choose for the endorsement of your item. It can be none, that's fine. For the promoted one, this environment is recommended for others to use. It is, I tested that, I recommend to use. The certified one is basically is going to be aligned with your organization's standard, ISO standards that you're following, for example, and then you can just certify it by a documentation that you have followed. There's another endorsement type. I think it can be available here, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, we have the master data for the items that are containing data. We have something additional as a master data, and when we mark it as master data, it is going to be marked like this. For example, this one I marked as certified. I create a notebook here, and in the settings I endorse it as a promoted, because I believe, as the writer of this notebook, I believe this one can be promoted, can be utilized by other stakeholders. And there was something else for the security. Sorry, let me just back to the apply sensitivity labels to items. In order to work with this one, you need to access your Microsoft Purview and create the sensitivity labels there, and then assign them to your items. I don't think it is going to be available here for me. However, I remember something was here. That we could. Yeah, for that one, I will look at it and see how we can demo that, because it is not available always, and yeah, it is going to be a bit tricky for demoing for the sensitive labels. I think for the free trial is not available, but yeah, I will look at it, and maybe in the next session we can chat about that. We talked about how to choose between the different data ingestion or data integration methods even. So you will just learn more about the items in the next sessions, and you will just find out how you can choose between them. The question that I have, I think it can be applied on the item, right? If you're referring to the sensitivity, yes, it is for the item. In the item level, the sensitivity label, it is going to be confidential, for example, or not. For example, you have a data warehouse, or you have a notebook that has the very confidential things, right? That you don't want to be available for unauthorized users, right? Or at least maybe you can just specify it in the policy of your company or your team that, hey, you as this user, you are not allowed to look at the confidential data, or you cannot share, you're not allowed to share the confidential data. So these sensitivity labels are basically in the item level. Awesome. Yeah, I think we can wrap it up. And cool. Yeah, our next session will be next week, probably on next week Wednesday on 17. However, in Meetup, it is scheduled for 16 on Tuesday, but it may move to Wednesday, the same time as today. And yeah, now we had almost 3 hours. If there is any question, feel free to ask. If not, we can wrap up this session. Yeah, I don't see any question in the chat. Thank you. Thanks everyone for joining. And yeah, cool. Guys, enjoy learning. Just let me know if you are experiencing any issues, if you need more explanation on something. Shannon is asking, are there any other resources you use to prepare? I basically use the Microsoft Learn other than Learn. Yeah, I personally prefer the Microsoft Learn, but of course there are other resources from the community experts that you can watch the videos, and or even the blogs, for example, from Kevin, from William, or from Nicola. These are really experts that are providing for the exam preparation, or even Alexi. Yeah, you can just watch them on YouTube, or following their basically blogs, and also the sessions that we have in different rooms, actually, and in the whole Microsoft Fabric community or Microsoft Learn community, including our community. We have now at least we have 50 sessions past in the past year and a half. So probably one of those items are going to work for you. But for specific for the exam preparation, I would choose Microsoft Learn myself. However, it's good to and practicing. Actually, the practicing is much important, more important, than everything for the stuff. And if I want to share something quick, is basically I look at the study guide always, and just following the documentation that are there. I know it is really big number of documentations in Microsoft Learn that we have to just learn about them, even when not only for the exam, but when we want to work in a real world project, for sure. Yeah, that's it. Thank you very much for joining. Thank you, Ishkan. And until the next time, is more hands-on experience, I think. Yeah, Isaac, yeah, it is really hands-on. It is data engineers work a lot, maybe. And for the data cleansing, yeah, it is more hands-on. However, the DP-600 was also similar in the data preparation section, which is 40 to 45% of the whole exam. Awesome. Thank you very much. Thank you for joining, and don't forget to rate the session on Meetup and share with your network, and just let me know in the next session, and if there's any question, you can reach out for sure. And enjoy your day, night, wherever you are, and until next time, bye-bye.